What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got a final to talk about. We have got the final of the sealed Vault Tour from Poland. Not the only Vault Tour going on in Poland this weekend, mind you. There is an Archon Vault Tour as well. This is the sealed Vault Tour, and we have reached the final. And we've got a couple of players that we have seen on stream before. We have got Mark, who we saw back in top 8. We got James, who we saw back in top 4. Both players are playing Shadows. Both players are playing Logos. Mark is got Dis in his deck, and James has got Brobnar. Sounds fun, right? And what we've got here is two players, and we've seen a little bit of their deck. Also, does look like Mark is going to be mulliganing. And both of these players we've seen building up big battle lines with Logos. Both of these players we've seen playing slightly slower games, slightly longer games. And we are in a best of 3. Now, I have checked with the people at the event. What we have here is a best of 3, but not an adaptive final. So you do need to win 2 of 3 games to win, but these players will not be changing decks and then if it's 1-1 bidding for the best deck. Everybody keeps their deck to go through, and what we have here is just a traditional best of 3. And it looks like we are off, and it looks like James has gone first and played down a Yancey gang, which is going to be fairly useful for, well, for stealing Amber and such, as Yancey gang tends to do. Cool. So it does look like it's over to Mark now. Remember, when you're playing Keyforge, if you are the player that goes first, you're only allowed to play a single card on your turn. Play Yancey gang, and then it's your opponent's turn. Has Mark got anything to counter? Oh, he's got a banish. Now, banish actually archives. It doesn't get rid of it, but it pops it in the archives. But it's still gone. You still get an Amber, so it's not too bad. But he's allowed to play more than one card. So you got to think something else. Oh, no. That was literally his turn. So Drummernaut here. We've got Calfine. Oh, we've got that card that lets you ready and fight with 3 friendly creatures one at a time. Relentless Assault. But, of course... Oh, and Blood of Titans comes down as well. There's nothing to fight, so they could both reap. Add in the Amber bonus he got from Blood of Titans, and that gives James 3 Amber on his first real turn. Oh, I hope this doesn't take 2 hours. It's not because I don't love Keyforge. Love Keyforge. Have a family. Have Pokemon videos to make. 2 hours is a long time to be commentating a final by yourself, ladies and gentlemen. 2 hours is a very long time to be commentating a final by yourself. The good news is we are recording all of these games. They will all be up on youtube.com/WossyPlays, so you can go and check in with them as you like. And they're going up because I'm able to record them as they go. They're all going up pretty fast this time. It's not like before where I've been doing kind of 1 or 2 a day over a couple of weeks. This entire sealed Vault Tour, we got half a day 1 yesterday, there'll be half a day 2, day 1 today, and tomorrow all 4 games from day 2 will be up. Boom. Done. Which is nice. Okay. So, seems to be a big gap here, frankly. Not much going on. Okay, so Memory Chip does go down. Helperbot goes down. That's going to let Mark play a non-Logos card this turn. Memory Chip is a really nice artifact. When you choose Logos as your active house for the turn, you can archive a card. You do need to bear in mind, however, that sometimes archiving a card will be a bad thing because you won't have a card in your hand that you want to archive. So he then plays Life for a Life to sacrifice a Helperbot to take out the Calfine while getting an Amber. So he played Helperbot to allow him to play Life for a Life, which he used to sacrifice the Helperbot. Not building up much of a battle line here. You know, we got an 11 power Drummernaut there. Now bear in mind, we do know that James is playing Grunt Buggy. So, something to bear in mind. Oh, 2 routine jobs. So we got routine job coming. Is that routine job? I thought that was. But no. He's got himself some Amber anyway. Plays a couple for Amber. Plays a Snack Lifter. Plays a Yancey gang. Now, bearing in mind, he archived that from the banish earlier. So we kind of knew he had it. And, yeah. ready to go, slowly building up his battle line. We've not had a particularly fast or explosive start, but judging from what we saw from these two players in their previous stream games, it's probably not fair to expect that there will be explosive starts. It's just not... It's not the kind of thing we're looking for. These are players that just don't care about having huge starts. They are content to, essentially, to do their thing. It was a sucker punch. There we go. Gives you an amber, deals 2 damage. If it destroys a creature, you get to archive it. It's also an alpha card, which is why he discarded the other one, because otherwise it would just be clogging up his hand. So... we get another amber bonus coming down here for Mark, just building up amber just by playing cards, essentially. A hidden stash also lets you archive a card. And furtive investments gives him an amber. If your opponent's got more amber than you, you steal 1 or you gain 1 for each key they've got forged. No keys forged, no extra amber. Down goes Lamindra, and then he's actually using throwing stars to do 3 damage to 3, or 1 damage to 3 creatures. But because he destroys Lamindra with it, he actually gets to gain an amber. So played Lamindra there just to destroy it with the throwing stars, get himself an extra amber. And I don't think we can really complain about that. That's not a bad one at all. So we do see another creature going down here. That is it Renlock? Yes, Redlock. At the end of your turn, if you did not play any creatures this turn, gain an amber, whether it was a Shadow's turn or not. So we're going to see that just throughout this game. You know, just keep an eye out for when he doesn't play any creatures, because then he'll be able to get himself a little bit of extra amber, which is nice. Incidentally, apologies for the taskbar being there. It is Athlete Hogan that James Harrison is playing. I don't know why my taskbar won't go away. I've done all the things you're supposed to do. I could restart my computer to see if it fixes it, but that would kind of ruin the whole streaming the final thing we've got going on at the moment. So, maybe we don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So, we do see James now on check, ready to forge his key next turn. Now, we've also got Poltergeist, which gets rid of an artifact and also gains an amber, which is nice. Now, we also see an Onyx Knight coming down, destroys each even power creature, which is everything other than Snecklifter. No, sorry, every odd number creature. I was put off for a minute there, because obviously the Blood of Titans turned Drummernaught from an even into an odd. Now, also gets down a couple of imps, and they're going to be very awkward because there's 2 of them. Now, they are Amber Imps. After a creature reaps, you stun it. That's going to make reaping very difficult. So he does play a Kolf the Quiet. He has forged his first key, has James. Has he got any way to generate any amber going on here? Has he got any cards of amber bonuses? Anything that can... Nope. Looks like that is his turn. Plays Kolf the Quiet, forges a key, discards a couple cards, or really just an Into the Fray, and that's it. That's his entire turn. Okay. We shall have to see where we are. Shout out while we're here to the lovely folks from Crazy Killing Machine, lovely new UK content creators who are running the stream here. Those guys are awesome. Do make sure you are checking them out. They're on YouTube, they're on Twitch, they're good people. And I mean that very sincerely. I met them both in Birmingham, Carl and Steve. They are good people. I like them. Hey, Carl. Hey, Steve. I don't think they're ever going to watch this back with my commentary, but if they do, hopefully that creeped them out a little bit. So, we've got a very, very slow pace of game going on here. This is one of the slowest played games I've seen in, I think I've ever commentated. Now, we know that both of these decks are a little bit slower and a little bit more control-focused. We saw that in their top 4 and top 8 games, but this is slow. This is, like, really slow. Okay. Still not got very much of anything going on. I did do a video a couple of days ago about the new Keyforge floor rules, and one of the things that they mentioned there was kind of unintentional slow playing. I don't know if we're quite at that stage yet, but this is one of the slowest played games of Keyforge I think I've ever seen. Now, we do see free creatures reaping, which is good, but unfortunately we also see free creatures being stunned. Not terribly nice when you stun. Now, one of the things we actually need to point out there in terms of language, Amber Imp says after a creature reaps stun it. Not an enemy creature, just a creature. So, yeah. Does hurt your own as well. Does hurt your own as well. Sorry, it's very, very hard for me to type and talk. So, Mark there, he's sitting. Now, the good news is Mark has actually brought himself up a big bunch of amber there, right? Is that 8 or 9 amber? Now, he also plays an unlocked gateway. Gets rid of all the creatures, and he actually ends his turn with like 9 amber, which is pretty gosh darn good. It's going to be very difficult for James he's got to take away 4 amber in order to stop it. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of difficult. Now, we do see an Archimedes coming down. Titan Mechanic, Archimedes. You are going to see a lot of Archimedes in the final. And that's James's turn. So all of a sudden here, we get 4 creatures coming down. But he hasn't been able to stop Mark forging a key. So we're now on 1 key each. And although we've had quite a slow pace of play, we've got a couple of keys rolling on here, ladies and gentlemen. And Mark's in a decent position. Mark's got himself 3 amber. So he's in a very, very good position in terms of, he's already halfway to his next key. But he has no board presence. Now, he does have a Lash of Broken Dreams, which is great. It increases the cost of your opponent forging a key by 3. But you can't just win a game with that. Now, speaking of winning a game, this is going to help. Help from Future Self comes down and grabs a Time Traveler and gets an amber. And then Time Traveler's going to come down getting another amber and also getting a couple of cards. You draw 2 cards when you play it. And Time Traveler is great. Time Traveler, it's one of these cards like Altanu the Chains and Altanu's Binding. They always come as pairs. So you won't get a deck without Time Traveler if you get Help from Future Self. And Help from Future Self is a special rare in that if your deck is assigned a Time Traveler, you will also be given Help from Future Self. It's just the way it goes. And it's great. Because essentially when you play Help from Future Self, you then get your Time Traveler. And essentially that... What's the word I'm looking for? That little thing gives you essentially 2 amber and 2 cards. So we see an Archimedes coming down there as well. And it's going to be an Archimedes party, right? It's going to be an absolutely Archimedes party. We've seen a bunch of them played by either player in, Mark we saw in top 8, James we saw in top 4. Get ready for Archimedes. Get ready for a whole bunch of archiving when destroyed. It is going to go for it. Mark really does want to get 1 more amber here. It's not always possible. He's also got a Seismo Entangler on the field, and in case you missed it, he dropped an artifact. So it's it's all very well and good sitting here going, oh, he needs an extra amber. Okay, fine. You've kind of got to have an amber, right? you've got to have a card of an amber bonus or a creature that's sitting there ready to reap. So Helper Bot comes down, though it does have a playability allowing you to play another card. Now there's a Brenda Fanatic, which gives his opponent an amber. Does he have a way to destroy it? Brenda isn't played to give your opponent an amber, but when Brenda Fanatic is destroyed, you steal free amber. So Hexbion goes down as well. Remember how I started this? Oh, and there's one more there which I cannot quite make out. Oh, look. Oh, he played Neutron Shark. That's what it is. So Neutron Shark comes down, takes down Archimedes, and takes down Brenda Fanatic. And of course, next to an Archimedes, it gets archived, which means that Brenda Fanatic is going to come out time and time again. The other thing to point out here is that, you know, with stuff like Life for a Life and Neutron Shark, these players are going to be, and I think they've both got Brenda. I might be mistaken. No, it might have just been Mark earlier. But Mark has got ways to deal with this. It's going to be awkward. It's going to be awkward to stop that Brenda coming down, and that Brenda is going to keep stealing amber. Now, you'll notice here, of course, that Mark stole 2 amber from James. That means he's now on 6. And takes down a Time Traveler and something else. Now that's a Shadows card. Remember, Neutron Shark, you destroy a friendly creature and an enemy creature, and then you discard the top card of your deck. If you flip a Logos card, that's it. If you don't flip a Logos card, you keep going. Oh, and there's Dust Chronicles, Furtive Investments. Mark was potentially going to have a decent Shadows turn next turn. He was going to be able to use Furtive Investments and Dust Chronicles, and he was going to be in a pretty good position. And now, I don't know, that's one of the things I dislike about Neutron Shark. Neutron Shark is a really phenomenal risk-reward kind of card. Sometimes it can absolutely make the game, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can be bad. I mean, we've seen that with Grunt Buggy on the stream as well today. Oh, by the way, it can also get artifacts as well as just creatures. And then we get another Shadows card with another amber bonus. It's getting awkward, ladies and gentlemen. Because a lot of the time you look at it and you go, right, I'm going to use Neutron Shark. I'll get rid of his Archimedes. That's going to be kind of fun. And then I'll get rid of my Brenda Fanatic. And then Brenda Fanatic will allow me to steal free amber. And we're looking pretty good. And then, yeah. Problem is, you end up getting rid of too many. Now, we do see a Whistling Darts coming down, dealing 1 damage to each of the Archimedes, get an amber bonus, a Hexbion and an Archimedes. Life for a Life gives an amber bonus. Now, that's going to allow him to sacrifice one of his own creatures and then destroy one of his opponents. Presumably, he's going to get rid of his own Sneck Lifter and his opponent's Archimedes, I would imagine. Oh, yeah. Now, that does leave Titan Mechanic on a flank, which is awkward. And it has given his opponent an amber, because his opponent's got 7 amber. So now he's forging at 5 rather than forging at 6. But Titan Mechanic's a 6-power creature. It's really kind of useful. And you have to get rid of the Archimedes, because the Hexbion gets archived when it's destroyed anyway, whether Archimedes is there or not. So you want to get rid of the Archimedes so that it can't then... Because Archimedes gives each of its neighbours destroyed, archived this creature. So you want to get rid of the Archimedes so it can't be essentially helping out its neighbours. So is that the end of the turn? I believe it is. It's going to mean that Mark's going to go and forge his second key. And James isn't even on check yet. Which means that Mark is taking an advantage. And the problem is, he's still got that Brenda Fanatic. I believe it's still in his archives. Which means it can come out again. And that's going to be awkward. That Brenda Fanatic could be the thing that kind of turns this game around. Now, he does have a Seismo Entangler out. We should probably mention what that does quickly. You choose a house, and during your opponent's next turn, creatures of a chosen house cannot be used to reap. So essentially, every time Mark goes logos, he's able to stop his opponent reaping with one particular house. Now, at the moment, it wouldn't be that good. He could either stop Umbra or Titan Mechanic. Okay. So Mark... Okay, so Mark is still going here. I'm slightly... I thought Key should be costing about 8 right now because of the Lash of Broken Dreams and the Titan Mechanic. I'm sure they've got it right. So, Mark there is sitting with a whole bunch of Amber. And he's using Hexbion here to take out the Umbra. Now remember, Hexbion, when destroyed, archives itself and the top card of your deck, which is very fun. We've got a lot of archiving in both decks here. There's a lot of archiving going on. Now, he plays down a Halperbot and a Time Traveler and a Brenda Fanatic. And that looks like it, to be honest. Now, did he take the Amber from the Time Traveler? Because remember, Time Traveler is one of those few creatures that gives you an Amber bonus. Okay, so the Lash comes in here. That is going to stop Mark forging. Ronnie Risklock stealing 2 Amber will also stop him forging. And as some people have pointed out, archiving Brenda Fanatic but not Neutron Shark does potentially miss out on a little bit of comboing potential there. Does mean that you're losing a little bit of that combo that you might have. So we picked up a bit numbers-wise. So hello to all you lovely ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Carl! Lovely ladies and gentlemen in the... Okay, the hand cams have gone nuts, apparently. Calm down. Calm down. So, we are seeing him forge a key here. He's got to pay 9 to do it, unfortunately, which is not ideal. But he is doing it. He is able to forge for 9, which is nice. And he has now forged his second key. And the only things on the board are Seismo Entangler and Lash of Broken Dreams. The only things out. The advantage Mark has got here is that James doesn't really have much Amber. And I get the feeling that, like, Brenda Fanatic is going to keep coming around. I get the feeling that Brenda Fanatic, we haven't seen the last of it. Now, we do appear to have lost the hand cams for the moment. I'm sure they'll be back at some point. Hand cam on the left is completely gone. Hand cam on the right is showing James's shoulder. Okay. That's, nice, right? So once again, we got both players really thinking through their options, looking through, taking a lot of time to decide what the optimal plays are. Trying to decide exactly what it is that they want to go about doing here. Checking discard, checking hand, checking opponent's discard. When you're in the final of a Vault Tour, right, things are getting real. So what you're doing at this stage is going, right, what has my opponent played? Now, in a sealed Vault Tour, you do not get to look at your opponent's Archon card before the game. In an Archon game, you absolutely do. In a sealed game, you absolutely don't. So, you don't necessarily know what your opponent's deck is, but you have a decent idea. So now we got Brenda Fanatic down again, and that Brenda Fanatic Archimedes combo is really coming up strong here. being able to constantly destroy it to steal free amber and then get it back with Archimedes is absolutely huge. Now, we do see a Grunt Buggy going down and then a pair of Groke, so that means that Mark's keys will cost 2 more. Because Grunt Buggy says that everybody's keys cost +1 for their opponent's creatures with power 5 or higher. So Mark has no power 5 or higher creatures. James's keys cost 6. James has 2 power 5 or higher creatures, so Mark's keys cost 8. And especially with other Brobnar creatures down, there is a possibility here that we see, James going nuts with Grunt Buggy and Lash of Broken Dreams, making Mark pay, 12, 13 amber to forge his final key. Now, he has only got 1 key to go, so he is in a very good position in terms of he can just overpay for a key without worrying. If you overpay for your first or second key, there's always that annoyance of, I overpaid for my first and second keys. Now it's going to be so much more difficult to forge my third. Whereas if you overpay for your third key, you're just like, you know what? It doesn't really matter. And James is really struggling to forge his second key here. We've got very different things going on. James is going, look at all the cards. Oh, there we go. And down comes Onyx Knight, destroys each creature with odd power. That's everything but itself, including Bren the Fanatic. And what happens when Bren gets destroyed? You steal free amber. So I'm sitting here talking about Life for a Life and talking about Neutron Shark. Well, we've also got the possibility there of using Onyx Knight to do it as well. Now we see Poltergeist getting rid of Lash of Broken Dreams, which ironically was stolen in the first place by James. And we've got Gub going down. We've got a couple of Amber Imp going down. And it really does look like Mark is in a great position to finish out this game. Incidentally, Gub is now a 6-power creature, so James's keys will now cost 1 more amber to actually go about and forge. But as it looks at the moment, it really does look like Mark is just in control of game 1. It just looks like he's got everything sewn up. So we do see a poke coming down. Deals the damage, gets an amber. Archimedes, pip, Archimedes. And then runs out of deck. Now we saw this from both players. Mark in his top 8, James in his top 4. And they both went on to win. Several turns in a row where they're not really gaining much amber. They're not really getting any closer to forging a key. They're playing around with battle lines, hurting their opponents, building their own, etc., etc. But they always had a plan, a lot of archiving and things. James has no archive at the moment. James has 1 key and 2 amber. Mark has 2 keys and 5 amber. There is nothing on James's side of the board, which means that Grunt Buggy will be essentially making keys cost more. James can only reap if he wants to get stunned. So can Mark because of Amber Imp. Having said that, why wouldn't you? Like, if you're Mark, do you really care? We're in the end bit of the game, yeah. That's exactly what I was just saying. You reap with all 4. Fine, you stun all 4 because of Amber Imp. But you don't really care. Because now you're up to 9 amber. And now you're forcing your opponent to have an answer to you right now at this exact moment. 10 amber because of the not finished with you. Gee, I wonder what creatures he's going to get back. Bren the Fanatic? Bren the Fanatic? And then it really is going to be over to James to have something truly impressive. He's going to need to take away a lot of amber or play a lot of really powerful creatures to get Grunt Buggy to make it so that he can't forge. He's going to need to do something here. Because as it stands at the moment, Mark is in an almost unassailable position. It is extremely difficult at this stage, it looks like, for James to come back. And that's it. James can't come back. Extends a hand and says to Mark, you know what? I can't do this. You've got too much amber. You've already forged 2 keys. There is very little I can do at this stage to stop you. And that's it. So Mark goes up 1-0. And that was a very... So what I'm looking for... It was a commanding victory. It wasn't a particularly close game. James, there were turns he got a bunch of creatures out, and there were turns he destroyed a bunch of creatures. But James never really got particularly close to forging his 3 keys that game. And it really was Bren the Fanatic. Like, Bren the Fanatic was the absolute MVP of that game. And then we just saw at the end of the day just a very slow kind of, oh, wait, now I've got 4 amber out. Whoop, whoop, whoop. So, it's difficult. It is difficult to try and beat that. And that was what Mark did. He used Bren the Fanatic. Hey! He used Bren the Fanatic so much that James couldn't get to forging. And then at that stage, he just, there was that one turn where he's like, oh yeah, I've got like 4 disc creatures out. Boom, reap for 4, now I win. It's a real interesting one. What I find really intriguing about this is, take Swindle as an example, right? Swindled is a card whereby it's an alpha and an omega card. You steal 3 amber. That's all it does. And it's the only thing you can do on your turn. You can't play any other cards. You can't use any other cards. You steal 3 amber. And that is a great card that we see a lot of play. Bren the Fanatic is not far away from that. You give your opponent an amber when you play it, but then when it's destroyed, you steal 3 amber. That's pretty awesome. So, yeah. If Mark can keep doing with Bren the Fanatic in Game 2 what he did in Game 1, we are going to see probably a fairly straightforward victory here without trying particularly hard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we do have the second game of the final coming up now. Mark won Game 1. Mark is up by 1-0. And he really does seem like the favourite. Now, this is not an adaptive tournament. If it were an adaptive tournament, then we would be able to go, oh, now they're swapping decks. Let's see what's going to happen. But that's not what's happening here, ladies and gentlemen. What we've got is they're keeping their own decks. And last game, and Game 1 wasn't really very close, right? Mark really ran away with Game 1. He used Bren the Fanatic a lot. And the thing is that he's really... It's not just Bren the Fanatic, right? It was a phenomenal combo with Bren the Fanatic. It was the fact that he's got Neutron Shark to destroy it. I believe he's got Life for a Life to destroy it, if I remember correctly. He's also got Onyx Knight to destroy it. And then he's got Archimedes. Both players have a bunch of Archimedes. So it gets put into the archive. And it's not just that Bren the Fanatic steals 3 amber when destroyed. That alone is pretty good. It's the fact that he's doing it over and over and over and over again. It's the fact that he can just keep going and keep using Bren to keep stealing amber, and it makes it extremely difficult for James to actually kind of get anything rolling. We saw James forge 1 key, and I think he got 2 amber towards his second, and that was it. That was the entire game. And it's because every time he got a bit of amber, Mark was stealing it. Okay, so James has gone first. He's whacked down a Titan Mechanic. 6 power creature. When it's on the flank, keys cost -1. That's fine. I'm alright with that. I mean, it's not like Mark's going to forge a key right now. Although maybe in an Untamed deck, you could see somebody getting to 6 amber and then dropping a Chota Hazari or a key charge. That would be kind of funny. Extremely unlikely here. Yeah, I suppose all it would need is like 3 Dust Pixies and a key charge. Boom, first key. Again, don't see that happening, especially as Mark does not play Untamed. Technically possible. So you can only play 1 card going first. That is James's turn. Over to Mark. Down goes Archimedes. Neutron Shark gets rid of both of them. And then we discard a memory chip. We then get a pip going down, so there will be no reaping from James, but he doesn't have any creatures to reap anyway, so I suppose it's somewhat irrelevant. So down goes Groke and down goes Grump Buggy. So keys now will cost 1 extra amber to forge, but that's all right. We're okay with this, ladies and gentlemen. That's not the end of the world. What else has he got, though? He's got a couple other Brobnar creatures in hand. It looks like he's got a Drummernaught, and he's got another card as well. Is he trying to decide whether to play them? Now, it looks like the other one's an action card, gives an amber bonus. I think it might be the one that makes you ready and fight. I think it might be Reckless Assault. I could be wrong about that. I did not get a great look. Reckless Assault. Okay, no, he's just done. That was it. It was his turn. So Time Traveler comes down, gets an amber, draws a couple of cards. And each player sitting there with 1 amber. And he's got 8 cards in hand, so if he does end his turn here, he will not be drawing any more cards. There ain't no cards being drawn here. Now, does it look like he's got another creature to play? It's going to be... Nope. It's going to reap with Archimedes and reap with Pip. Okay. That'll do. Gets a Halperbot down. That's going to allow him to play a non-logos card. Oh, look. It's Bren the Fanatic. Now, interestingly, and now Neutron Shark does go down, Bren the Fanatic is not next to Archimedes, and actually chooses to get rid of the Grump Buggy there. Then discards his Seismo Entangler, so that's that. There will be no more destruction. Now, there is a possibility that what Mark's waiting for here is, we know he's got multiple Archimedes, he might be waiting to get another Archimedes to put down next to Bren the Fanatic, so that he can then, say, reap with Neutron Shark, and then destroy the Bren the Fanatic while it's next to an Archimedes, and then ends up getting archived. That might be what he's waiting to try and do here, which wouldn't surprise me. Now, Groke is still there, so is Groke reaping? Drummernaught comes down, and Groke goes down as well. And then we see Reckless Assault. That was what I thought, though it doesn't have an amber bonus. Just a bit of flame on the shoulder. So Groke is going to go and take down Archimedes. And then Drummernaught is going to take down Neutron Shark. And of course, when you fight with Drummernaught, you return a friendly giant to your hand. So Groke actually ends up with no damage on whatsoever. So that Neutron Shark play is gone. And you had to think that James was going to go after the Neutron Shark here. You had to think it was going to happen. Okay. So I think Mark there's trying to decide whether he wants to pick up his archive or not. Doesn't look like he's going to. Biggest decision in Keyforge every turn really is, which house do you choose? That's the big one. Which house am I actually going to go with? Which house am I going to choose? And it's down to a lot of things. I mean, if you look at Mark's board at the moment, he's got both Pip and Halperbot. Now, neither are particularly good for fighting. You got 1 power and 2 power. But certainly either of those could just reap, gain an amber. But it depends what's in your hand. If you've got, say, 5 Shadows cards in your hand, maybe they're the ones to go for. What he really wants to do is destroy the Brand, but he's not going to be in much of a hurry to destroy the Brand, because as it stands at the moment, it looks like there's only actually 2 amber that James has got. So waiting for him to get a third, or indeed waiting for him to be about to forge, and then stealing the free amber, is usually a better way to go about doing things. That's usually the better option. Okay. So, down goes Time Traveler, gets an amber bonus and a couple of cards. Remember, it was down next to the Archimedes, so it did get archived. And once again, we've got quite a slow game. The pace of play is quite slow, and both players are being very, very careful to not make mistakes, being very considerate in terms of what they're doing, making sure they're really making the best decisions. So he has obviously gone for logos, hence why he played the Time Traveller. So then reaps with Pip Pip, reaps with Halperbot, finishes the turn with 4 amber. So now we get an Umbra going down, and we see a Ronnie Wristclocks going down, which is going to steal an amber. I always like it when you've got both players using the same tokens, just because then you can physically steal the token. Now, Throwing Stars will deal 1 damage to each creature and gain you an amber for each one destroyed. Takes down the Halperbot, gets an amber, does a damage to Time Traveller and a damage to Pip Pip, but does not destroy them. Would be awesome to have a Throwing Stars again to take down both of those creatures, but that's probably asking a little bit too much. But does end the turn with a pretty decent battle line. 3 shadows, 2 Brobnar. Means unless Mark starts wiping the board, James is going to have a bunch of options next turn for what to do. He's going to be able to, well, essentially, he's going to be able to, stop. He's going to be able to do stuff with his creatures on board, which he hasn't really able to do. He didn't really ever do back in Game 1. In Game 1, there were never really those big turns where he did a bunch of stuff with his creatures. Maybe he can get that role in this turn. So he does get himself just a cheeky amber there off the card. That's a Misery Exploit. You gain 1 amber for each damaged enemy creature. Just got 1 off the Druminal. Then plays Onyx Knight and destroys each creature with an odd power. So down goes Groke. And down goes Brend the Fanatic. And now, once again, Mark has used Brend, and once again, Mark is on check, and he's going to be ready to forge a key next turn. Now, down goes a Gub, not on a flank yet. Amber Imp goes down. Gub now is on a flank, so it's a 6 power creature. And that Amber Imp means that anyone who reaps is going to get stunned, no matter who they actually are. So it hurts yourself as much as your opponent. But he's got no active disc creatures to reap with, so he's cool with it. He doesn't really care. He's like, nah, you're fine. You go ahead and reap, mate. You're fine. And James here, we're a little bit into this second game of the final now. James has no keys and 1 amber. He's not forged a key, and he's not particularly close to forging a key. And this is slightly worrying if you're James. Because the MO of Game 1 was Mark just would not let him forge a key. Forging was not something that James was doing back in Game 1. He forged 1 key. And at this stage, it's probably starting to feel a little bit like deja vu, because Mark is doing the exact same thing here. He's making sure that his opponent cannot get enough amber to forge a key. And it's getting to the stage where if Mark can just keep doing this, he's going to be fine. Now, he's actually now got himself up to 9 amber. Played a banish and all of that. And he really is in a great, great position this game. He's in a phenomenal position. Because it's not... Mark's deck is not a fast deck, right? This is not an amber rushing deck. But it doesn't need to be. Because he's got just enough. And he's not doing stuff like Too Much to Protect, Doorstep to Heaven, Effervescent Principle. It's just a little bit of stealing here and a little bit of stealing there. Mostly from Brend the Fanatic. And then gaining just enough amber. And now it goes over to James's turn, and once again, James in a horrible position. So he does play Sucker Punch, takes down the Amber Imp, which is good, he can reap again. And he gets an amber, and because he destroyed it, he gets to archive it, and then Gub goes onto the flank and becomes a 1 power creature. Snecklifter here, then able to take out the Gubs, which is really hurting Mark's battle line. Now plays down that red lock. If your opponent, if you don't play a creature, you gain an amber. And he's still got Ronnie Wristclocks, which in theory could be used to take down Pip Pip or Time Traveller. But it looks like he's happy to just reap. But of course, as much as he got rid of Amber Imp, he did not get rid of Pip Pip. So still ends up stunned. So Mark now forges his first key. He pays a 6 amber, flips the key. Yay! Mark's got a key. Here's the problem, ladies and gentlemen. He's also got 3 amber. He's already matching James's amber. Now, he does need to start looking for that Brenda Fanatic again, see if he can get it back out. And we know he's got stuff like Not Finished With You and all of that, so he's got options for getting out of the discard pile if it's ended up there. But we know he also has at least 2 Brenda Fanatic in his deck. And there's always a weird thing with a sealed tournament when you get those 3 decks and you're trying to make that decision. But Mark looks at it and goes, well, hang on a second. I got Brenda Fanatic, right? I got 2 of them in a deck where I've also got stuff like Life for a Life, Onyx Knight, Neutron Shark that I can use to destroy them. And then I've got a bunch of Archimedes to archive it. And that essentially is the core of Mark's deck here. The core of Mark's deck... Yeah, to all the people asking about the taskbar and the whole F11 thing, I've done it. I've tried everything. I'm so sorry. I tried it then, just for you guys. For some reason, the taskbar won't go away. I've done the F11 trick. I've gone into my taskbar settings and done everything I'm supposed to. I need to restart the computer and see if that fixes it. Problem is, if I restart the computer, yeah, that's it's going to kind of kill the stream. So I do apologize. I have no idea what's going on. It is awkward. But I promise you I've done everything that I can. So the core of Mark's deck here really is using stuff like Archimedes and Neutron Shark to make the most of Brenda Fanatic. Now he does have furtive investments here, gets him an amber, would gain him 1 for each key his opponent's forged, but it's not working. Sorry. Opponent hasn't forged any keys. Ronnie, and he also has more amber than his opponent. Ronnie Riskloss comes down and steals an amber, and already Mark is on check. Now, it's always a bit dodgy when you finish with exactly 6 amber, because it makes it, yeah, it makes it quite awkward. Because your opponent can probably get rid of it. Now, we do see Poke coming down there, gains an amber, does a damage. Because it destroys Pip-Pip, you get to draw a card. We see Pip-Pip and double Archimedes, but does James have anything in his logo suite that can get rid of amber? Now, I did not see what that final card is, I'm afraid. But the answer at the moment is no. No, so there we go. Mark forges his second key, and once again, we've seen what we've seen so many times in Keyforge. James has a giant battle line. James has a lot of options, but he's not gaining enough amber, and he's not stopping Mark forging a key. And that, I mean, that's literally the name of the game is Keyforge. There are 2 things that James needs to do here. He needs to forge keys, he needs to stop Mark forging keys, and he's not, unfortunately, being able to do either of them. And that is a problem. That's a huge problem. And he's already 1 game down in the final, and once again, it just... Now, last game, Mark was comboing and repeating far more often. I say that, he's got Brend in his hand. So he may well go shadows here. He's also got furtive investments, which will only get him 1 amber, unfortunately. But still, it'll get him some amber. And he's got Ronnie Risklocks with whom he can reap, which he is. And it looks like that's basically what he's going to do. Now, obviously, the Pip-Pip stuns, unfortunately. So reaps with Ronnie to get the amber. Plays furtive investments to get the amber. Plays Brenda Fanatic to give his opponent an amber, but is not going to forge yet. Plays Life for a Life immediately to get an amber and steal free. And Mark is already back on check. Now, he very cleverly gets rid of the Umbra, because the Umbra's got a fight skill that steals an amber. That is the one thing on James's board that steals amber. What has James got here? Because Mark is back on check. Once again, in a shocking twist that nobody could have predicted, it was Brenda Fanatic. So down comes Sucker Punch, gets an amber, takes out the Time Traveler, gets archived. Dust Chronicles gains an amber and archives a card. Life for a Life is going to gain an amber and destroy a creature. This isn't what he needs right now. And he reaps twice to gain 2 amber, which is lovely. And that's it. He's got no way of stopping Mark forging his third and final key, and Mark is your sealed Poland Vault Tour champion. Congratulations to Mark, commiserations to James, but unfortunately this was one of those matchups where we got a few minutes into the first game and it really did look like it was Mark's game to lose. Mark's deck had a very specific game plan and James just didn't have an answer. Maybe if James's deck was a bit faster and could rush better. Maybe if James's deck had slightly better amber control. There was a lot of good stuff in James's deck, but unfortunately he was just not able to pull it off at the end. And I do need to double check here, but if I remember correctly, I believe Mark has actually now gone undefeated all the way from the very first round. I'm just trying to see if I can actually find the standings here to double check that before we sign off for the day. But I mean, either way, this is this is just phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. That is a very, very hard deck to beat. Maybe... No, my apologies. It was James that was undefeated until this round. I'm sure I said that at the beginning. That was an hour ago. James goes undefeated until the very final round and then loses to Mark, who did lose a game yesterday. Both great players, both great decks. I don't think Mark's deck is unbeatable, but I do think that in this final today, it was too strong, and what it did, James just did not have the answer. Congratulations to both players. Thank you again to Crazy Killing Machine for providing the stream. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, there's an Archon stream. It starts tomorrow. And I will be back commentating every single game for you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. Any games you've missed will be on the YouTube very shortly, youtube.com/WossyPlays, so make sure you check them out. If you're on YouTube, they're all linked in the description. If you're on the YouTube, thank you very much for watching. Comment, like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. Check out the Patreon, patreon.com/PTCGradio. If you're so inclined, don't bother if you don't want to. And thank you very much for watching. Look after yourselves till next time. Bye!